when I think of landscape gardening, when I was growing up, I had a few mates that became landscape gardeners and stuff, and it was all about just putting pathways in, putting plants in, and putting plants in and bushes that look nice. But that's not even touching the surface these days, is it? You know, you're talking about plants being resilient species and stuff like that, but there's so much more to it, though, isn't there? It's not just about making the garden look pretty.
I think the interesting thing for me is going from so when I started landscaping, and I started on site as a labourer originally, and did a few years of that, and quite a few years in construction. But now the interesting thing for me is actually less about the construction element, more about the plants, because there's so much, there's so much variety, and it kind of tips into ecological design in a way, and you're able to fashion plant communities that, will cope with climatic extremes better in theory. But it's all experiment. At the moment, there's a lot of experimentation going on, but that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, you experiment with what you do all the time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's what pushes things forward. So I guess a roundabout way of answering your question is I think it's much more interesting now because we've got more depth to what we're doing, where it's not just about aesthetics anymore.